Blood work. Everyone online talks about getting your blood work done. Bro, get your bloods checked. Bro, you gotta monitor your health. Cool. What labs are you checking? Why? What do they mean? Because I promise you, half the guys saying to get your blood work done couldn't tell you the difference between a CMP and CPR. One checks your liver. The other one you do when your buddy's heart stops beating from combining Clen and OG Jack 3D during his latest cut. What's up, guys? My name's Dr. Alex, and I'm a board-certified urologist with fellowship training in men's health and a mild stimulant problem. And today, we're going to cover the labs that are actually worth checking if you're running gear. What do they tell you? What do they not tell you? And what to do about it. And again, understand, this is harm reduction, not encouragement. Don't do steroids, kids. And none of this is medical advice. None of it. Ronick, run the disclaimer. But first, before I go through the labs, I need to set your expectations because I see this all the time. A guy gets blood work back, everything looks normal-ish, and then he says, oh look, everything's normal. I'm healthy, you see? Time for another blast. Nope, stop. Think of your body like a car. It's only gonna last so many miles, and the harder you push it or the faster you drive, the sooner it's going to give out. And by it, I mean your heart. And by give out, I mean explode. Think of labs like your speedometer. Generally speaking, they tell you what stress your body is under right now, at this moment, which is useful because it means that adjustments in meds, compounds, and lifestyle can sometimes change those numbers. And that's the good news. The bad news is that your speedometer doesn't tell you about the damage that's already been done, aka the miles your body may have already accumulated. You could have a gorgeous lipid panel right now because you recently went plant-based, converted to Buddhism, and now you're meditating for 4 hours a day. Good for you. Namaste. You could still be on the doorstep of a heart attack because of that 5-year nonstop Tren and Winnie cycle back in your 20s. You know the one that led to the domestic violence conviction, the prison sentence, and then the subsequent conversion to vegan Buddhism. If you want to check your odometer or how much actual mileage is already on your body, that typically is going to involve imaging and advanced testing beyond just blood work. Things like coronary artery calcium scores, stress tests, echoes, and carotid intima media thickness testing. Leave a comment down below if you want to deep dive on advanced longevity testing, because that's its own video. Today, we're just talking about the speedometer, which is the blood work. Let's go. Let's start with the basics. Number one is a BMP or basic metabolic panel. This checks your electrolytes: sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarb, BUN, creatinine, and your glucose. So why does this matter for PED users? Well, a few reasons. First, if you've ever prepped for a bodybuilding show, you know that last week is basically a science experiment in dehydration. Between water manipulation, carb depletion, and diuretic use, your electrolytes can and will get wrecked. And electrolyte imbalances don't just make you cramp. They could make your heart cramp, also known as cardiac arrhythmias. Your heart runs on electrical signals, and those signals depend on sodium and potassium being where they're supposed to be. You mess with those, and your heart can go from sinus rhythm, which is normal, to somebody carrying you off stage while calling 911 real fast, which also seems to be normal at some bodybuilding shows. Second is glucose. If you're running growth hormone, MK677, or other secretagogues, you're pushing your body towards insulin resistance over time. Monitoring fasting glucose is important because you don't want to trade your physique for type 2 diabetes. Bodybuilders on stage looking peeled AF while slowly becoming pre-diabetic is one of the greatest ironies of this sport. And this sport is full of ironic things, like Jay Cutler's apparently bulletproof hair. By the way, you know you're getting old when you start envying Jay's follicle density more than his quad stomp, but that's a discussion for my therapist. Now our next test is a CMP or comprehensive metabolic panel. This includes everything in a BMP plus your liver enzymes: AST, ALT, ALK Phos, albumin, and a total bilirubin. This is often the preferred screen for anyone running oral anabolics. Most oral steroids, including Anadrol, D-bol, Winstrol, and the like, are what we call 17-alpha alkylated. That means that they've been chemically modified to survive your liver's first-pass metabolism, which is great for bioavailability and terrible for your liver. It's like using a chastity belt for contraception. Sure, it works, but at what cost? AST and ALT are your liver's stress markers. Elevated levels can tell if your liver is under strain, and while mild, transient elevations can be common and aren't necessarily dangerous, sustained elevations, especially with oral cycles that go on for weeks or months, are a red flag. Now, a quick caveat. AST isn't liver specific. It also comes from muscle tissue. So if you just did a brutal leg day and then get your blood work the next morning, your AST might be elevated, and it could be from muscle breakdown, not liver damage, which is why it's smarter, medically speaking, to just skip leg day. Unless you're a Latina baddie watching this, and in that case, Kira Serminovia. Please don't tell my wife about that joke. ALT, on the other hand, is more liver specific, which is why context matters. One snapshot of blood work doesn't tell the whole story. Trends over time do. If you're running orals, consider checking a CMP before, during, and after your cycle at a bare minimum. And if your liver enzymes are climbing and you're just thinking, I'll just add some TUDCA and keep going, maybe you should pump the brakes. Your liver is not a speed bump. Unless you just keep running D-ball indefinitely, in which case it will turn into concrete. And yes, it could be used as a speed bump. Now, if you've been paying attention, you are paying attention, right? You will notice that both BMP and CMP include creatinine, which is traditionally used to estimate kidney function through something called your eGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rate. But here's the problem. Creatinine comes from muscle. So if you're a 240-pound bodybuilder who's also taking creatine, which most of you should be taking, see the video up here somewhere, your creatinine is going to be artificially elevated, which means your eGFR is going to look worse than it actually is. Your doctor then looks at it, panics, tells you your kidneys are failing, and you look at your 20-inch arms and say, no doc, they are not. And you might actually be right, for once. This is where Cystatin C comes in. Cystatin C is produced by all nucleated cells in your body at a relatively constant rate and isn't really influenced by muscle mass or creatine use. So it gives you a much more accurate picture of actual kidney function for guys who lift weights and take creatine. So if you're jacked and you want to know what your kidneys are actually doing, ask for a Cystatin C. Your regular doctor might look at you weird, so show him this video. Or don't. I'm not your real dad. We both know he left to buy cigarettes 15 years ago. Next up is testosterone. Now, many of you might be thinking, oh doc, why would I check my testosterone if I'm already injecting 3 cc's of it every week? Fair question. And in that case, it might not make sense. It really depends on what you're doing. If you're mid-blast running 500 mgs of test a week with a side of DECA and some Anabar, yeah, your total testosterone level is going to be through the roof, likely above the assay's detection limit. It's not going to tell you much. But if you're on a legitimate TRT protocol or taking a break from making yourself die faster, monitoring your testosterone levels is essential. TRT is supposed to put you in a physiologic range. So if your levels are way above range, congratulations, you're not on TRT anymore. You can call it TRT, but much like Caitlyn Jenner, you ain't fooling anyone. And that comes with unnecessary cardiovascular stress, elevated hematocrit, and other issues that we need to talk about. Also, and this is important, checking testosterone along with your gonadotropins, which we'll cover at the end, tells you how your natural axis is functioning when you come off cycle or during PCT. More on that in a minute. Now, this next one can literally save your life, so pay attention. Put down the Zen can for 30 seconds. And that was a note from me. So, androgenic anabolic steroids stimulate erythropoiesis. That is a medical term meaning they cause your body to produce more red blood cells. And more red blood cells mean your blood gets thicker. Thicker blood means your heart has to work harder to pump it. And if it gets thick enough, you're at a significantly elevated risk for both heart attacks and strokes. This is called polycythemia, or an elevated hematocrit, and is one of the most common and most dangerous side effects of anabolic steroid use. Now, add this to the fact that a huge percentage of larger guys, especially those carrying a significant mass in their neck and chest, have undiagnosed untreated sleep apnea, and you've got a problem. And guess what sleep apnea does? It raises your hematocrit. So you've got androgens pushing up and you've got sleep apnea pushing it up. And most guys have no idea because they've never been tested. So if you're a dude taking testosterone and you snore at night, then dude, you have got to get tested for sleep apnea. Now, if your hematocrit is elevated, this has to be managed by a doctor with actual medical interventions, which might include adjusting your dose, therapeutic phlebotomy, or addressing the underlying sleep apnea that has yet to be diagnosed. And if anyone in the comments says, bro, just take Hemoflow, I swear to God, I'm gonna personally stab you in the delt with a dull 18 gauge. That is not how you manage an elevated hematocrit. However, I can be convinced to make a video on hematocrit management. You know what it takes, comments. More comments. Testosterone aromatizes into estrogen. That's just basic biochemistry. And when you're running supraphysiologic doses of testosterone, you can get supraphysiologic estrogen levels, which means fluid retention, blood pressure spikes, mood swings, and every gym bro's nightmare, gyno, aka spicy nips, aka the reason why you're Googling Nolvadex at midnight. Checking estradiol helps you understand where your estrogen levels are at so you can manage them appropriately, whether that's with an aromatase inhibitor, a selective estrogen receptor modulator, adjusting your testosterone dose, or just keeping an eye on it. But, and this is important, standard estradiol assays have limitations. The aromatization products of other compounds like nandrolone and dianabol produce estrogenic metabolites that a standard estradiol test just can't detect. So your estradiol might come back normal while you're still getting side effects from your D-ball. Think of estradiol as a way of just telling which way the wind is blowing. It gives you a direction, but it may not necessarily give you a full weather report depending on what you're on. You have to use your brain in addition to the lab value. Unless you're on trend. In that case, you may not have much brain left. I'm sorry, and you should probably check out the video up here. Next up, if you're spending money on growth hormone, then you probably know that growth hormone isn't cheap. At least that's what people tell me. And you probably want to know if it's actually working. IGF-1 is produced by the liver in response to growth hormone. So when GH levels go up, IGF-1 goes up. So checking your IGF-1 is essentially a way to verify that the GH that you're injecting is doing its job. So why is this important? Because fake growth hormone is everywhere. The underground market is flooded with underdosed, mislabeled, and outright counterfeit GH. So if you're pinning what you think is pharma-grade growth hormone and your IGF-1 hasn't budged, you're probably just injecting expensive water, or worse. And the same holds true for your secretagogues, your MK677, your ipamorelin, your tesamorelin, and your CJC1295. These are supposed to stimulate your body's own GH production, and in some cases they do, and in many cases they're underwhelming. So if your body isn't moving the IGF-1 needle, your money isn't working. Check your IGF-1. Know what you're paying for, besides the early onset diabetes. On to our next topic. I almost don't want to have to say this, but here we are. Guess what, guys? Your heart is important. I know. Groundbreaking medical insight. A fasting lipid panel checks your total cholesterol, LDL, the bad one, HDL, the good one, and triglycerides. And anabolic steroids, particularly oral steroids, can demolish your lipid profile. We're talking a tanked HDL, an elevated LDL, and a ratio that would make a cardiologist reach for their prescription pad. And this matters because dyslipidemia, which is abnormal lipid levels, is one of the primary drivers of atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of plaque in your arteries. And that buildup doesn't just go away because you came off a cycle and your lipids normalized. Remember that car analogy? This is odometer stuff masquerading as speedometer stuff. Your lipids can look great now, but the damage from years of abuse may already be done. That said, monitoring your lipids is still important because it tells you how much stress you're currently putting on your system. It gives you actionable information. If your LDL is 200 and your HDL is 15 when you're mid-cycle, that's your body waving a red flag. Don't ignore it. So get your lipids checked fasted, meaning nothing to eat for at least 8 to 12 hours before. And no, your pre-workout with 47 ingredients doesn't count as fasting. This next one flies under the radar, but it matters, especially for competitors who have had a long career. A lot of bodybuilders use thyroid derivatives like T3 Cytomel or T4 Synthroid during contest prep to crank up their metabolic rate and burn more body fat. And while this can be effective for getting stage lean, cycling on and off thyroid hormones repeatedly can suppress your body's own thyroid function. When you take exogenous thyroid hormone, your pituitary gland says, oh, you've got plenty of thyroid hormone floating around, and it stops producing TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. And over time, particularly with repeated cycles over the course of a competitive career, some guys can genuinely damage their thyroid axis and end up hypothyroid. I see this in my practice. A former competitor who hasn't touched thyroid meds in years and is seeing me for TRT, but is still fatigued, gaining weight, losing hair, and he just feels like garbage. Nobody thinks to check the thyroid because his competing days are over, but that damage was actually done years ago. So if you've ever used thyroid derivatives, even if it was years ago, get your TSH checked. It's cheap, it's easy, and it might explain a lot. All right. Now we're in my wheelhouse. Urology, men's health, testicles, the boys, the family jewels. Yeah, okay, you get it. Anabolic steroids suppress your hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. So when you inject exogenous testosterone or any anabolic steroid, your brain detects that there's plenty of androgenic activity going on and it shuts down production of LH, luteinizing hormone, and FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone. LH tells your testes to make more testosterone, FSH tells your testes to make more sperm. No LH, no FSH, and your balls go on vacation. They shrink, sperm production drops, and sometimes it goes to zero. Now, for a lot of guys, this is reversible. Come off cycle, run a proper PCT, and the axis reboots over time, but not always. And the longer and heavier the use, the higher the risk of prolonged or even permanent suppression. If you have any desire to have kids in the future, even if it's just maybe someday, I don't know, we'll see, this is something you should be monitoring. Checking your LH and FSH tells you whether or not your brain is even trying to talk to your testicles. And combining that with a testosterone level when you're off cycle tells you if the conversation is happening. Which brings us to our next test, which is a semen analysis. Now, a semen analysis takes things a step further and it tells you what's actually coming out on the other end. Sperm count, motility, morphology, the whole shebang. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen in my clinic who finally decided they wanted to start a family and surprise, there's nothing there. The swimmers have left the building and now we're playing catch up with fertility treatments that are expensive, emotionally draining, and not guaranteed to work. If fertility is even a possibility in your future, go get your gonadotropins and a semen analysis checked. It's a cup and a lab order. Your future self will thank you. So there you go, 10-ish labs. 10 things that can help you stay ahead of the damage and make smarter decisions about what you're putting in your body. Besides Chinese peptides and gear. Quick recap, BMP for electrolytes, CMP for electrolytes plus liver, Cystatin C for accurate kidney function, testosterone for monitoring your dose, Hematocrit so your blood doesn't turn into marinara sauce, Estradiol so your nips don't become a problem, IGF-1 to make sure your GH is real, fasting lipids to make sure your heart is still intact, and a TSH because your thyroid could be cooked, and gonadotropins plus the semen analysis because your future kids are counting on you. Or at least they would if they existed, which they might not, because you're shooting blanks. And none of this replaces having an actual doctor who understands this world. Find one, talk to them, be honest about what you're using. We can't help you if we don't know what's going on. So if this video helped you, smash that like button. And if it really helped you, subscribe. And if you want a deep dive on advanced longevity testing or a full breakdown on managing elevated hematocrit, drop a comment down below. You know the deal. I read them all. Compulsively. I have a problem. I'm Dr. Alex. Stay safe out there, you maniacs. Oh, and this video is not a replacement for medical school. That requires giving up your 20s, part of your 30s, and roughly the GDP of a small African nation in student loans. Consider this a primer, a starting point, a reason to stop Googling your symptoms during your 2 a.m. trend sweats and actually talk to a doctor.